Yeah, the whole thing, the whole situation has been disappointing from the very beginning. Obviously, it's been stop, start, not knowing from one week to the next what the situation is, what the restrictions are going to do, what effect the restrictions are going to have on us. The spectator side of it has obviously been the biggest issue for us. We were lucky when we came back that the number of spectators increased from last year, and we were getting a really good average, around about 220, 230. So it's important, and it's crucial to football clubs, especially at this level, that's what we get spectators in, the revenue from the spectators. It keeps the place going, keeps the day-to-day run of the club going. So we were disappointed, but it's become the normal now, just not know what's going to happen from one day to the next, and nothing's surprising me at the moment.
And you mentioned there as well with the supporters coming in and the revenue that comes from that. How instrumental are they also to the success on the pitch? Of course, last season it looked like the club was going to go and be promoted into the first division.
Again, we try, and it's difficult, but we try and sort of like work our budget out on what we think will people that will come through the gate. So the number of spectators this year, we budgeted for around about 200 being the average. We expected a little increase. Had we been in the first division, which is a different story, but we think we'd have had a bigger average, obviously more spectators through the gate. But it's important to us because from the beginning, before the season even starts, we sit down and work out what we think will be where our income will come from. Spectators is a crucial part of that, and that justifies what we pay out for players' expenses and all the other stuff that goes with running a football club. So the money coming into the club from the perspective of the spectators is so important to us and crucial for the development of the football club.
So do you think, of course, there was an overall kind of decision made by the clubs in the division of postponing the games until later on? Do you think that was a big reason as to why that happened?
I mean, obviously the Northern League were excellent in immediately getting proactive with all the clubs and saying to the clubs, look, we'll play football, but it means playing football, i.e. depending on what tier you're in, so our tier 3 would have to play with a capped attendance of 150 and no clubhouse opening. Now, our clubhouse obviously isn't set up yet, but when it is set up, that'll be crucial to us as well. And we know that other clubs where they have a more proactive clubhouse, lots of people using the clubhouse, and they have a lot bigger average of 150, that they're going to get hammered with the kind of restrictions that are hitting us at the moment. So that was the only factor. The only factor affecting the clubs when they made the decision, should we carry on or should we continue to postpone the season, was can you manage with spectators under 150 and your clubhouse is closed? And the general consensus obviously was voted on was that no, they couldn't. And that was great at the Northern League because it meant the Northern League were considering the future of the clubs. Can the clubs keep going? They could have said, look, we want the league finished, just play football under the restrictions. But I think they considered the bigger picture and the threat to clubs' futures and trying to help clubs out.
So speaking about the restrictions and the impacts it's had on the club, are there things that you've learned from the previous 2 lockdowns which you can take into future setbacks, or I don't want to say it's got a potential third?
I don't know about things that we've learned. I think the things that we've learned as we move through these various restrictions are how to handle social distancing around the ground. All that stuff's been brilliant, and I must admit that's been, from what I can see, all the clubs have made a massive effort to make sure that that's happening. So I think we've managed to get that right. The things that we've learned is maybe do clubs put too much emphasis on spectators coming through? Should we lessen our ambitions with numbers of fans? Should we not rely too much on the clubhouse? Should we not rely too much on spectators? But then you get into the scenario of, do we not want to be competitive in the league? Because everyone knows you can't buy success in a league, and that's certainly not the case in the Northern League, and it's certainly not the case in any league that I know of. But everybody knows that if you've got a bit of money and you can pay a bit more for a player, you can pay a little bit more, then you're going to get a better team, and technically the better team will get you better success. Hopefully that's the theory. It doesn't always work, but 9 times out of 10 it will work. So I don't think we've learned any lessons from that. I think we could maybe change our direction, but that would mean if we change our direction, we're changing our views on how successful we want to be and how we want to develop. Our aim at this football club is to get through the divisions, get through the steps as quickly as we can and get as high as we can. Within the capacity, within the actual stuff that we've got going on within the club.
And just to take the focus away from the pitch for a moment, how important has it been to make sure that people are staying mentally strong through lockdown? Yeah,
that's tough, but not my job actually. So, but I know Steve's been brilliant. I know in the last month I've had some in the restrictions since November, since our last game against Jarrow. The lads have all done Zoom meetings, Zoom training sessions, and they've kept everyone's spirits up. And that is probably the most crucial thing at the moment. How players can get up and get for games restarting and have to do it continually. So they've done it 3 or 4 times now, where they've had to wait for the season to start. Then we had the restrictions. Then we had the lockdown in November. And now we're waiting for it to come back again. So they're going up, they're going down again, and that I think will have a massive impact long term. And I think it's going to be. It already is a very, very strange season. I don't think at the end of it, when we look back, it'll probably be the teams that handle the impact of the mental health issues and keeping players fit and ready and raring to go for these ups and downs that we're going to keep facing. Because I'm pretty sure that this won't be the last time of that.
Absolutely. And you said they're physically fit as well. Do you know anything that's been happening? Any kind of personal exercise regimes or anything?
They've been great, and like I said, I speak to Steve about it, and Steve keeps updating me on that fact that what the lads have been doing when they go out on runs, have been putting it on Zoom, and I'll be honest with you, Steve thinks that if we'd have started back after the month, we'd have probably been one of the fittest teams starting back. And that was a worry when we finished against Jarrow, because the last game against Jarrow was back in early November, and I remember saying to Steve on that night, how are you going to keep them fit for the next month? What are you going to do now? Something he's never faced before, and something any man he's not faced before, where you keep having these breaks, and you've got to think outside the box and do different things, and then you've got to rely a lot on trust and make sure that the lads do this stuff themselves. And fingers crossed, and like I say, Steve's told me that they have been. So hopefully they have been keeping themselves fit. Then again, there's nothing better than match fitness. You've got to play football. So a couple of friendlies is great as well.
But what's your personal opinion on the restrictions that have been placed on clubs like Redcar?
Look, at the end of the day, health is more important than football. People's health is more important. I would like to think that we were contributing to somebody picking up coronavirus, suffering for 3 or 4 weeks, having to go into hospital, or even worse, becoming critically ill, 30 or whatever. So, what I think about it and what I don't think about it, it's probably irrelevant. The thing is, we have to make sure that everyone's safe. We have a responsibility to everybody who comes within our football club to make sure that they're safe. And if the government, the DCMS, FA are giving us restrictions to adhere to because they think that's what will keep us safe, then we have to do that. Personally, from a point of view, I don't think that people playing football and having 150 to 200 fans around a ground that is outside and can clearly hold a lot more than that is any more dangerous than going shopping in Tesco or Morrison's for that matter. And because that's indoors as well, it's people are barging past each other. I think it's much safer out there. If someone gave me the choice, right, safest, what do you want to do? I'd go to a football match and stand outside all day long.
Yeah. And just to finish us off, is there a Christmas message you'd like to give for the fans just during these tough times?
Just have yourself a massively happy Christmas, and hopefully the new year will get back to normal. We can get playing football and get us all back on the pitch again, supporting us, because obviously the support's been fantastic, and we felt the momentum with the supporters. Last couple of games, even the lads who've been playing said they've never heard supporters get behind them so much, where they're banging on the boards and we're singing when going, there's cheers, and we were starting to build up a bit of a rapport with the supporters, and we don't want to lose that. We want them back, so we wanted to have a really great Christmas, a really happy New Year, and hopefully get back to a normal New Year.